Good evening, everyone. You are watching Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show where we cover the latest social media news from this past week. My name is Christian Kirsevich, CEO and founder of SocialChefs.com, and we have an exciting show for you tonight. We're going to have a guest on. I think he was actually our first guest from 2017, and we're going to wrap up 2017 with that same guest. And that is Ross Brand. So I'm going to bring Ross Brand on here in a second. I'm also going to bring on my co-host, Nick Rishwain, as well. But let's bring Ross on and introduce him. Hey, Ross, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, Christian. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're very welcome. We're glad to have you on, actually. I mean, you were, Nick and I were talking. I think you were our first guest for 2017 and our last guest as we closed 2017.
Uh-oh. You're not going to hold me to all the things I talked about that were coming, that were supposed to happen in 2017 and back in January, are you?
No, not at all. You know what? I got to say, but we talked, I think, recently about some live stream predictions, and I think that overall, I mean, you also did some live stream predictions recently, and that was a fantastic article, and we had a lot of really great insight. So, I think, some people, they take a guess and they're like, hey, this is what it's going to be, and nothing happens.
Right.
Who can really predict live streaming? It's hard because it's changing a lot.
It's changing so fast. I mean, it's like every day it seems like there's some update or either a new app or a change to an app or a new feature on an app or a third-party app or something. It's like never stops evolving.
No, not at all. And and that's the great thing about social media. I mean, it's one of those things where there's all these changes, and they're typically good changes for the user, for the business,
right?
Because they can help you a lot. I mean, it's not just about the live streaming aspect, but there's so many things that go on that can really help you. Yeah. So, by the way, Nick just got here as well, so I'm going to give him a second here to get set up, and we're going to bring him on.
Nice.
But for those of you who are watching right now, I just want to say, thanks a lot for taking the time to tune in. Ricardo, thanks a lot for watching here. And I want to say, if you can do us a favor, hit that share button. Share it with your friends. We're going to wrap up 2017 here with should be a fantastic show. So let me bring Nick on here real quick with us. How's it going, Nick? Can you hear us?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Doing
Nick.
Great.
Good. Sorry about the delay here.
Nope.
The day got away from me. Hey Ross, how are you? Thanks for being on. We figured Ross was a great way. I think, Christian, you already covered it. Ross is a great way to start and end the year. So thank you, Ross, for being here with us. My lighting's not so good tonight.
Hey, good to see you, Nick, and it's great to be back on again.
I'm glad to have you. And you've had an exciting 2017, haven't you, Ross? How many shows have you got going on now?
I don't know. I can't keep track. Most recently, my focus has been on Best to Be Live, which I'm doing with Rachel Moore on the Be Live TV Facebook page. And as you guys know, you guys were actually Rachel's selection about a week ago, I think, a week or 2 weeks ago. Christian was a guest on the show, so we love what you guys are doing. And then I'm also doing a podcast / live show with Professor Nez. We call it Ross and Nez, the live stream experience. So those are the two shows that I'm focused on the most. I'm also doing live stream deals monthly, and Live Stream Stars is kind of on a break, and I'm probably doing some other things, but who knows?
Excellent. Yeah, the live stream deals, I like all of a sudden a week or two back, I saw live stream deals. What is wrong? And I knew you were doing the Ross and Nez show, but I saw live stream deals and I thought, what is going on? How many shows does this guy have now? You're a busy man.
Yeah, so that's a monthly show. I've been doing that since September, but Ross and Nez, we've been cranking out pretty much an episode a week. Maybe we'll even do a little more. So definitely check that out if you haven't done so. It's a lot of fun, a little bit different from the other stuff that I've been doing.
Very cool. Very cool. And we have, I think, Christian, just a sort of a short show tonight. We got about 3 stories for you. Figured
Okay.
we'd let everybody get to their holiday, their New Year's holiday extravaganzas. And Christian, how's everything where you're at? You just had some really great pictures shared on social media this week, huh? You were having a lot of fun in where The Martian was filmed.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I was actually wondering. I was like, people probably think I'm not working here, but I definitely do work. I mean, you and I know how much we communicate and whatnot about what we have going on. So it was a really busy week. So this should be a great show, though. I'm actually really excited about all the topics we have this week.
And I'm going to mention one more thing, in part
sure.
because I'm sitting in such terrible lighting tonight. Ross, your lighting has significantly changed, and so has your background from I think the last time you were on the show. You've got some great lighting going on there. Are you in a different room than you used to be in, or?
No, I'm in the same place, but I added a light on the other side of my desk, so now I have 2 lights going, and I adjusted the camera settings on my webcam a bit to try and get a little more life into this place and put a picture behind me. So it's
you're doing better than I am.
Coming along, right? It's coming along.
You're doing much better than I am at this point. But anyway, let's jump right into our stories tonight. The sort of, I guess you would call it the main story, Christian. Do you want me to lead with it, or you want to do the Instagram in the disputed flags first?
Let's do the disputed flags first. Actually, let's just kind of knock that one out and then kind of run through the list, I guess, and then
sure.
We'll see how this goes.
So our first story is from Facebook's newsroom. Came out December 20th. In the news feed, they're replacing disputed flags with related articles. So they're announcing 2 changes which they believe will help in their fight against false news. We'll no longer use disputed flags to identify false news. Instead, we'll use related articles to help give people more context about the story. Here's why. Academic research on correcting misinformation has shown that putting a strong image, like a red flag, next to an article may actually entrench deeply held beliefs. The opposite effect of what we intended. Related articles, by contrast, are simply designed to give more context, which our research has shown is a more effective way to help people get to the facts. Indeed, they've found that when they show related articles next to a false story, it leads to fewer shares than when the disputed flag is shown. So I think that's interesting, a little bit of like a reverse psychology here. And they're also starting a new initiative to better understand how people decide whether information is accurate or not based on the news sources they depend upon. This will not directly impact news feed in the near term. However, it may help them better measure their success in improving the quality of information on Facebook over time. So this has been an ongoing story for essentially all of 2017, hasn't it, Christian and Ross? The fake news has been big and a big story, and they've been working hard to combat inaccurate news reporting. So this is interesting. I've seen it. Somebody showed me an example when I posted a blog on a particular topic that was a hot topic a couple of 2 or 3 weeks back, or 2 months back. Somebody shared a related image of how it came up in their newsfeed with related articles from like New York Times and other sources. Ross, what are your thoughts on this?
By the way, Nick, actually, before we bring Ross in, I have a video that we can actually show them, show people real quick so they can see how this works. You want to show them?
Okay.
You want to show them? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see how it plays.
So I'm going to go off camera here, guys, and I'm going to bring the video up a little bit larger for you.
I'm not seeing anything on Facebook.
Yeah, so we're not going to play that. Can't play that video because apparently it says video unavailable.
Yeah.
Sorry, this video cannot be played. So not
Let's
sure
skip
why.
it.
That does happen a lot with Facebook's videos. But let's bring Ross up and hear what Ross has to say.
Yeah, let's see what Ross has to say about this. Ross, do you think this is a good move by Facebook?
Only show up next to
Ross?
articles they want to
Anyone?
signal as potential fake news. So, because otherwise taking the flag off seems like it makes it harder for people to detect whether it's
Is
a
anybody
real
there?
story or not a real story based on Facebook.
Christian, can you hear me? Testing, testing. And it appears that we have lost everybody. Can you see me? Kevin, you say you can still see me, but I don't think we have. I think I've lost everybody else. Christian has messaged me. Oh, you can hear Ross. Interesting. I see here Nick only. Interesting. So that'll be the last time that we show a video. Christian has sent me a text and said, hang tight. Certainly the last time we'll try showing a video with Be Live. Ross is the king here. He might actually have an explanation as to why this has happened. Christian, you're back. I can see you now, and I can hear you.
Okay, good.
No, Ross, I wasn't hearing you at all. I couldn't see or hear you. I can now see and hear Christian, and we're waiting for you to rejoin Christian. Is that what he should do? Christian's frozen. Okay, everybody, I'm going to stop the camera because I'm not certain that anybody's getting anything at this point. Okay, everybody, I'm going to stop the camera.
Hey, Ross, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can see you. That was a really weird glitch. I'm not sure what happened there.
I don't know. It was weird because I started talking, and then a few minutes later, I realized I was in the lobby.
It was really strange, actually. And not to, I mean, this is the one thing about live streaming, of any sort, this all too well, is that you do run into glitches, and, like this one, for instance. So I'm going to bring Nick back up as well, and let's finish discussing this topic. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated topic, actually. I mean, it's what I guess I'm confused about is, are they putting related articles next to any article or only next to those that they think are potentially fake news?
That's a great question. Because can you hear me? Can you guys both hear me?
Right.
Yep.
We can hear you.
I was mentioning, Ross, and I don't know. not sure if you heard this before we had the glitch in the system, but I had written a blog post on the Paul Manafort indictment about 2 months ago, or whenever the indictment was handed down, beginning in November. And somebody in the Legal Minds group had taken a picture and sent me an image showing me exactly the couple of articles underneath what I had already written. So, yeah, mine was probably more opinion-based and based on my experience. So I don't know if they consider that fake news or if rather they're going to just give me context. They're trying to help the reader of that blog post gain some context.
All I can think of is the saying, "The path to hell's laid with good intentions." I mean, first of all, what do you usually see when you go to a blog post, when you go to somebody's blog, right, or a company's blog, whatever? Anything of value usually will then have related articles next to it. So to me, without a flag and that, they're signaling, hey, this is so great a piece. We want you to read more about it and learn more about it. I think if people understand, it's not a big deal. And of course, I'm always thinking, there's a fine line between news, analysis. Two people can look at the same story in very different ways. Even supposedly credible sources will select facts because you can't include everything, or because they want to tell the story through their lens or how they understand it, whether deliberately or unintentionally. And so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I know that there's a problem, but I don't know what the answer is. We certainly, on one hand, you can have articles that are clearly fake being shared as though they're real and taking up a big part of the news feed when people are getting their news from Facebook. On the other hand, there's a danger of, do you start getting into censoring and telling people what is correct thought and what is incorrect thought? And, with power comes the ability to abuse that power. Does Facebook then start, if something mentions Google, does it get lowered in the news feed? If it, if I share the story from a YouTube video versus sharing it from, from a New York Times post or something, all of a sudden it's going to get a different play right there. So how easy is it for Facebook to marginalize opinions that don't fit with their narrative or their business interests or things like that? So the whole thing is a very complicated mess, and I don't have a good answer on it other than there's a problem out there, but we want to make sure that the cure isn't worse than the problem, or doesn't suppress other freedoms that a platform that's so dominant like Facebook really has to now think in terms of what's in sort of the public interest, right? And they have to look like they're tackling this because they will rather tackle it than have the government get in and start regulating and things like that. So there's a lot of things at play, and what's good for Nick and Christian and Ross and people around the world is probably 10th on the list, right?
That's right. And I have some comments on where you're going, but I do want to hear what Christian says about it first. Christian, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's good?
I think this is a slippery slope. I mean, you're sitting here, you're going to be like one thing that stood out to me at least was, and let me find the actual paragraph in this article. By the way, this is from Facebook's blog. So, we're not using disputed flags to identify false news. Instead, we'll use related articles, to help people, give them more context about the story. I'm glad that they're telling people like, hey, you know what? This is not necessarily a credible source, or maybe it's been indicated a lot that it is potentially fake news. But I don't think that really changes the fact that there's a lot of people that manipulate the content that's shared. They share a piece of the content, without giving you the full context, or, it's an opinion piece, or, a lot of the information in the article is incorrect, or maybe it's mostly correct and there's some facts that aren't, but hey, the people don't update their website and, the title's sharing that's fake news. So I think that this is a very slippery slope for people. I personally would say they need to just get rid of it. Like, if the content is not valid, don't share it. Like, if it's potentially valid, it's because, like, you do have, like you said, you have really good credible sources out there. You might have your CNNs, your CNN. Let's see what sites you might have. CNN, you might have the Washington Post, you might have all these other sites that are sharing content that is relevant content because, hey, they have a certain responsibility when we're in publishing content. But right. In that case, like, show that as a related article. But hey, like, maybe the better approach should be to say, if it's a credible source, but hey, maybe there's some concerns about it, show it as a related article. But if it is actually something that is potential, is highly, likely that it's fake news, don't share it at all. I mean, it does.
I think Ross has made kind of touched on that point that you're discussing here, Christian. We get a concern on prior, and I forget the term. Bernard's in the audience. Remind me, Bernard, if you can recall, is it prior restraints or prior constraints on freedom of speech? But I think you get into that if they start saying, no, we determine that this is false news, then it's they could say, well, hold on a second, how do you know? What you say is false news is false news. That's not necessarily true, which is why you have one of the reasons you have a lot of competing news platforms. So I think, Bernard recalls it as prior constraints, and I can't recall which one it is, but I think that's what it is. And I think where this is going, Ross, you sort of touched on it. Facebook is doing everything in their power to not become regulated as a utility,
right?
Because there's a very good chance that they're becoming so integral to public interest and public interest, I guess, that they really want to avoid government regulation as a utility. But I see that as a definite possibility in the future if they don't do something to clean these things up. So I think that's what the move is for.
And I think we also have to recognize, I mean, there are clearly outlets that are doing nothing but creating fake news for the point.
Yes.
For whatever reason, whether to monetize off of clicks or whether to sway elections or whatever their motive is to, disrupt the social fabric of a community, whatever it is, there's motives behind it, right? Mm-hmm. But even those sources that we would all agree would be on any list of credible news sources, right? You mentioned CNN, right? By any stretch of the imagination, CNN is going to be one of those that passes the test, right? And yet CNN gets things wrong in news stories. CNN publishes things on their website that are pure opinion, that are barely fact-checked, right? Like, it's just, okay, we'll give somebody with an opinion space to write. So having worked for newspapers, you do your best you can to check the veracity of your sources and your stories. But at the end of the day, I mean, even the government is planting misinformation in stories and things. I mean, people are leaking, people are whistleblowers, you have to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt. People have agendas. There's no pure source out there. Right. Any source you use is capable of publishing something that's inaccurate, either based on errors of omission or errors of commission, or just they did the best they could and, their sources failed them, right? And the sources, right. Businesses and individuals and celebrities and all these folks are trying to influence the coverage so much, and, they don't have the staff to determine every single fact is true or false. So while we want to distinguish news organizations that we believe are trying versus those that are there just to give false information, it's a very slippery slope, because I think we've all read articles or watched news reports on credible news organizations where they've gone into an area where we're knowledgeable, right, Nick? Like, they're covering an issue with the law, and you're sitting there watching a host on a very respectable news network and saying, that isn't really accurate. That person has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And then that all of a sudden calls into the question, well, what is their depth on every other issue? they just ventured into my area, and I know.
Right, you probably have that in the human resources area from time to time.
Right. Or
look, I don't want to. I think we've covered this one.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here.
Yeah, I think we've. But I think that is where they're going. I think it's a good move. The alternate of this is when I got that image from a friend who had seen my blog post with the New York Times and somebody else underneath it. They actually thought that it gave more weight to the blog post that I wrote. So it's an interesting, it was not necessarily giving context, but they thought of it as legitimizing what I wrote. So that could be, have that reinforcing factor that they said that the red flags were having too.
I think the related articles would for me, Nick. I mean, I think seeing related articles is like saying this is a valuable issue, explore it further. Yeah. Not we're giving you context on it. And I think given how busy people are, a flag that doesn't necessarily say this is fake news, but just says this is a questionable article. We don't believe that, take this, do further investigation on this, is enough with a busy news feed that you probably are going to scroll past those looking for, let me find a better source for this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
But even the market corrects itself a lot of times. How many times have you seen somebody post something that's fake news and within 3 comments in 5 minutes, somebody will have called it out and the person will apologize and go, oh, I didn't realize that actor so-and-so is still alive. And
I guess it did not correct it enough because they are hustling to keep the government out of their business. Our next story for tonight is Instagram's this came out, actually, I think this came out while we were on camera last week, Christian. This is send a live video in direct. So you can now send live videos to friends in direct, which is Instagram's messaging platform. With a single tap of the direct icon, you can send your own live video. So if you've gone live and you're wanting to share it with some friends, you can do so while you're live, or a live video you're watching. So if I'm watching Ross live on Instagram, I can send that to Christian, encourage them to join the fun. When you're live, just tap the direct icon at the bottom of the screen and send your live video to friends. You'll also have this option when going live with a friend. Once sent, the recipient will see your live video in their direct inbox. Friends can only view your video if you're currently live. If your live video is over, your friend will see a message saying the video has ended. If you prefer, you can disable the option to send your live videos in direct in your story settings. And if you have a private account, only your followers can view your live video. So I have yet, as early on adopting live video as I was, I have yet to go live, I think, on Instagram. Ross, what are your thoughts on this? You're live on a lot of different platforms. Facebook seems to be your place these days. Have you been live on Instagram?
So actually, I want to show everybody the screenshot first, Nick, on this, just so they can kind of see how this works.
Okay.
The ability to send a live video. So I'm going to pull that up real quick, and then we're going to bring Ross in and discuss this one. Okay, so here, guys. So this is actually this is a screenshot from the Instagram blog, actually, and as you can see here, you got quite a few things going on. So basically, if you're watching a live video, you will have the ability to share your live video with somebody in Instagram Direct. You can invite individual people. You can invite groups if you communicate a lot through Instagram Direct. You can also, it's not just your video. You could be watching a video, and you can actually go on here and invite people to watch that as well. All you have to do is tap the direct icon from that first screen that you see here. It's the one right next to the double arrows, and that will pop up your Instagram Direct feed. Let you pull those people in, and then they can watch the video. If you're watching the video, you go to send them the link, and let's say the video is expired. The people will not be able to watch the video at that point. They'll get a message that says this video has ended. So let's bring Ross on to see what this is about, or what he thinks about this.
If we can magically make him come back, we will do so.
There we go.
Hey.
So, Ross, what do you think about this topic?
I think they're going after Snapchat further. Like, hey, kids, don't forget when you're here on Instagram looking at pictures, you can do all the messaging that you would do on Snapchat right here in this Instagram direct message. In case you haven't found it yet, it's here. It's a powerful tool. Start using it. And look what else. You not only can you go live, but you can get your friends right in when you're live, because a lot of people who are just using it, you know, here in the now, I'm at some place, I see something cool, I want to share it with my friends. That's what a lot of people use Snapchat for. Like, check this out. Hey, say hi to everybody quickly, and then I'll snap it and send it to people, whatever. Now it's saying, hey, you can not only go live on Instagram, but you can quickly invite your friends so they don't miss the moment, whatever it is. People sitting around singing happy birthday to somebody, you know, whatever it could be. Use your imagination that you want to share with your friends, and you just invite them in. So I see it as being sort of targeting the people who use these kind of apps to hang out with friends. That's my first thought, right? But
have you used it yet, Ross? Have you used the Instagram stories?
I use
Instagram Live.
Yeah, I mean, I've used Instagram Live, but I haven't used this feature yet. But the other thing I was starting to think of then after that is, imagine companies like who use it, say, to do a giveaway or a contest or announce something or whatever, and like, hey, tell your friends we're going to be giving away free whatever in 15 minutes or whatever. First, we'll tell you about whatever. So people can start messaging other people who might be interested in that, or, you know, we're going to talk about this. So just like we're in the habit of saying, share this out, let people know that we're talking about the latest in social media here on Social Chatter. Please do share this with your community and stuff like that. I think maybe it'll become just second nature when you're doing an Instagram Live to say to your audience, please do share this, tag a friend, send this to a friend. And so I think it's worthwhile. There's no sort of retweet button on Instagram it's easy to use. There's no way that you can take something that's in a story and just instantly reshare it to your network. So this gives another way to bring other people into it. So I think it's a pretty cool feature. Can't hurt, right? I don't know how much as a host, if I'm presenting information that's thinking more business related, that I'm going to be able to present that information and be tapping direct invites to people. But if I go live and I'm like, you know, I got 5 friends that I want to get in. Hey, everybody, hang out a second. I'm going to bring in this person and that person, and I want to invite so everybody can see what we're planning. In other words, people not using it for any type of show or business purpose or marketing. They just want to make plans with friends and show off something cool and things like that. There's a lot of different uses for it. I think it's a great feature to add.
So I think that overall, this is a very useful feature, provided people realize what this can do. So if I'm, you know, like Ross just mentioned, I mean, a lot of people I think don't realize that this is available. You know, not that's just available, but they don't realize the potential that you could use this with. So like if I'm a business, I mean, I want to be communicating with my customers in most cases. You know, I want to be talking with my customers. I want to be paying attention to, you know, having regular, not just like saying, hey, go buy my stuff. You know, it's not about just go buy my stuff. You want to be talking with your customers, you know, in a normal manner. You want to be building relationships with them so that, you know, when you have something going on, like, and it could be information, it could be, you know, a product, it could be a new service you're offering, it could be something that you talked with somebody about, and, you know, you happen to remember, hey, you know, I was having this conversation with Ross, you know, Ross and I were talking about getting a new webcam. Hey, I saw this fantastic article about a webcam that he might, you know, that he had told me about. Let me go share this with him. You know, I'm helping him. So I think that, you know, if you're using Instagram Direct to communicate with customers, you know, and some businesses are, this is a very useful feature to bring them into, for instance, a live video that might be useful for them. You know, it's about you being, you know, a business owner and being aware of what your customers are, interested in, or maybe the questions they have and whatnot. So I think that from that perspective, very useful feature. Personally, I don't have this yet. It's in the Instagram. You have to get the latest Instagram app, but I think that this is a great feature for a business who communicates regularly with their customers, who then use, the different messaging channels, such as, your Instagram directs, your WhatsApps, your Facebook Messenger, and so forth. If you're using Instagram Direct, this is just a further extension of it, helping you add more things to it, to communicate with them. And by the way, Nick, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share the article real quick with everybody so everybody can kind of see what we're talking about here. There's not a whole lot, not a whole lot to this from a screenshot, but yeah, go ahead. Okay, sure. So we're going to bring Nick back in here in a second. We're having some technical difficulties with I think it's the screen share feature. Not sure why, but Nick's going to come back in. Then we're going to bring Ross in. We're going to talk about this topic. Basically, Facebook partnering, multi-year license with Universal Music Group, the ability to upload music in their videos, or letting you, the user, upload music to your videos. So let's bring Nick back in real quick. So Nick,
I have no idea where people lost me. We'll see if I come back on Facebook. Bernard or Don, if you guys can mention, or Joanne, if somebody can let me know if you hear me again, that would be fantastic. There's always a little delay on Facebook. Let's bring Ross in and get his opinion on this.
Okay, I'm going to bring Ross up here for
everybody. I see myself again.
Okay, so we got Ross and Nick and myself. So can you guys see everybody? Let us know in the comments.
It seems that Be Live is having an issue when we try and share screen shares. I think that's what's giving us trouble. Bernard says he sees and hears Nick and Christian. So
maybe try.
Yeah. Bernard now says they see and hear everybody.
Okay.
Ross, you're in.
Okay, so I love this. I think it's great for people who are creating videos, have now the opportunity to put music behind it, whether it's a live video, whether it's something they upload. I guess I'm not sure whether the music will be available to add to your video and when you're producing it or whatever, but certainly for live videos, if you want to have a music bed going, if you want to share, I mean, I think it could be everything from the music as part of the production to, hey, let's listen to this cool song, right? Whatever keeps people on Facebook and keeps them involved. You know, like people like to go to certain groups and apps and just watch YouTube videos, right? Well, now they can come watch and listen to music. I assume with that can come the rights maybe to music videos too. But let's start with the fact that, hey, cool song I want to play for you. You know, people can DJ for hours if they, whatever keeps them on Facebook is good for Facebook, but it's good for video creators too to have, you know, if you wanted to put a little music bed in between the stories that you guys do, right? You could do that, and you could use some copyrighted music that people know and recognize and like versus using, you know, just some bumper music or whatever that's, you know, freely available. And we don't have to pay for it because of the deal, I assume, unless that becomes something that's an add-on at a later time. But so far, so good, right? I mean, this is all progress.
Yep, I agree. Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
This is fantastic progress, I think, for anyone who wants to run any sort of video here. It's expensive to run, you know, any sort of like music that's not like, I mean, heck, even to buy just like, as Ross mentioned, you know, a standard stock video, it can be expensive to get that. And so I think that in this case, giving people the opportunity to have music that they can add to their presentations, and any of the content they're doing, I think this is great for that. I think at the same time, you know, this also is a very positive step from Facebook because it says, hey, you know what? We want you to use video, but hey, we also want to help you make better videos. And, you know, in this case, this is actually one of those zig and zag things. So like where a lot of people, you know, they're saying, hey, let me come out with my own live streaming service. Facebook is saying, hey, we've got the live streaming going. We've got Facebook Live in this case. Or letting you record and upload a video. But then now they're saying, hey, you know what? We want to take it up a notch, and we want to give you actually good music that you can possibly use versus, hey, here's that standard stock, you know, music that, you know, nobody can really recognize that really doesn't really fit with your production either. So I think in that case, this is a fantastic move from Facebook. I actually think this partners very well with the other Instagram topic that we had talked about, Nick, the one about the whole like Instagram content matching thing.
Yep.
But I in this case, I'm glad that Facebook's doing this. I wonder, you know, you mentioned a minute ago, I wonder, you know, if this is going to be totally free, or is this something that maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, we'll only give this to our people who spend big money with us through ads or something like that.
Right.
You know, maybe there's a little catch.
There may be a catch, or somehow the cost will, because licensing music or any other content is usually not very cheap. So at some point, I think the cost will have to get passed on to the user. Anyway, that's all of our stories today, and I think we're all in agreement that that's a big move and a good move by Facebook. Christian, why don't you hit us with some tools?
Sounds good. By the way, we got one other topic that'll be up on the blog post recap. That's the whole Instagram topic about the Instagram content matching, their advanced algorithm. Very technical piece, but we'll talk about that on the blog post recap, because that's, you know, we want to make sure we don't take up all your time, guys. But we want you to give you the best and latest social media news. So let me pull up these tools for everybody. So the first tool that we're going to have for this week is called Botletter. And Ross, I'm going to pull up the tool, guys, and then I'll bring you guys back on. Okay.
Excellent.
So Botletter, this is a very neat tool. This is basically a tool for making it easy for you to send newsletters to Facebook Messenger. And so I'm going to pull this up. I want to show this to you guys because I think that this is a tool that a lot of people can I think you can really use this. So let me get this pulled up for you, so you can kind of see how this works. So apparently this is Botletter, and Botletter is not showing up, I guess. Oh, okay, good. Okay, great. So this is Botletter. Let me see if I can fix this for you guys. Apparently their website needs to be Improved for mobile, huh? Well, the bottom line is, instead of sending email newsletters, Botletter will let you send newsletters directly to Facebook Messenger. This will allow you to reach your users, hopefully have a much higher open rate. In a lot of cases, when you send email newsletters to your customers who sign up for your email list, you get a very low open rate. We're talking, 5%, 10% if you're lucky. And then from there, you get a very low click-through rate, typically the whole 1% to 3%, that type thing. With Facebook Messenger, people are always on Facebook, so they will likely be checking that versus their email. So this is a tool for you. It's a new marketing channel, essentially. You can go in, you can send your newsletter in seconds to people. And by the way, this is a free tool. It starts at, let me pull up the pricing here for you. Free tool. It starts at $0. There's a free option to send up to 1,000 messages per month. Of course, that's very useful if you've got a very small Facebook page. And then, you can escalate there up to 5,000, which will run you $19 a month, 20,000, 50, and so forth. So I'm going to bring Nick up, and then we're going to bring Ross. We're going to talk about this real quick and see what, if anybody's used this. And by the way, if you're watching, if you've used this, I want to hear what you guys think as well. So Nick, what do you think about this whole feature, this tool called Botletter, the ability to send newsletters to Messenger?
So, for those who send newsletters, and I see Don McClure's in the audience tonight, and I know that he's just started a newsletter. I think for many, this will be good. I think, as with anything that's going direct into my direct messages anywhere, it's bound to be abused by marketers. And strangely enough, I saw something today, I think from Wired magazine, about people using Messenger to deliver malware and ransomware to computers. So I think I'm a little hesitant when somebody that I'm not connected with on Facebook and that I don't know sends me a message. So I'm not certain that I want to start receiving newsletters there. Usually those who are messaging me, I've already got some sort of a relationship with. But I'd love to hear what Ross says about this.
Yeah.
So Ross, what do you think?
That 80% open rate will go way down once people actually start using this. I mean, right now, the novelty of it, right? They can test it, and there's a novelty of it. So if you guys sent me a newsletter through Messenger, I would surely open it up, and just because I'd be curious what you're doing, right? And I might open it again, and I might keep opening it because I like your show and I like what you do. But in general, even for your favorite things that you subscribe to, the more often they send it, the less likely you are to open each one, right? Because there's another one coming tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I think the open rates are going to go way down. And I mean, right now, people, I think, feel about their Facebook Messenger differently than they feel about email, whereas email is less personal. You can segment it and all that kind of stuff. Messenger's a little too personal, and I think you want to be careful, or you're going to start seeing people unsubscribing from pages and unfollowing pages and things like that. I think you're better off finding other ways to notify people. Like, you guys created an event page to tell people about when you're going live. People who are following your page or are in a group or whatever can get notifications. I'm just not sure if this will be good for Messenger, because for me, Messenger is like my primary place that I communicate with people that close friends, close business associates, things like that. I'm not sure that I want a lot of promotional stuff coming in there.
I think I agree with you. Before I go to Christian, I get a message from Ross in Messenger, and I go and look at it. I get a message from you, Christian, in Messenger. I'm going to go look at it. The same goes for just about everybody who's here. Now, Don does not like getting things in Messenger, but Joanne mentions, I only want urgent stuff in Messenger. So, Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that this is a tool that if you use it, you have to use it in the right way. And I think everybody's going to probably agree with me here, but marketers ruin everything in a lot of cases. This is a very, very, very powerful tool. But, as Ross mentioned, if I get this the first time, I'm going to check it. And then if I get it a second time, I'll check it, and it diminishes a little bit. And then, it's going to diminish a little bit more the more that I get this from somebody. And then coming back to who sends this. So, for example, if Nick sends this, if he sends me something in Messenger and I check it and I'm expecting a different message and I get a spammy marketing message, I'm probably going to say, you know what? I don't know. I need to start shutting Messenger off. And then I think overall this could, I think it could actually draw Facebook's eye as well, because they are going to want you, this also diminishes their platform. If people start to use it, and start sending a lot of, spammy messages, I mean, that's going to throw your algorithm out of whack big time. But I think if you use it the right way, which is, sending your customers relevant information using this, or even ask them before you send it, hey guys, I want to run a test with a few of you. See if you can, do some segmentation or whatever there. I think that this would be a great way to slide into doing this the right way versus just, doing a blast. And Cheval mentioned, I think most marketers use social media just for selling. You're absolutely right. Most marketers just use it for selling. They aren't actually thinking about their customers. So, you do need to keep an eye on this with how it works. I think it's a very innovative tool because, it gets me out of just going to, duplicating my message on, Facebook and then coming back, on my newsletter and then coming back to Messenger to possibly send something. I don't even think a lot of people tap into Messenger's potential that's there. But I think overall,
it's a much more direct way to target people, right? Than say buying an ad that you hope will hit certain demographics and whatever. I mean, this is like, I want this person who's already opted in. I want to make sure I hit everybody who's, liked my page or whatever. But I kind of see what Joanne's saying with the, you want urgent. So I'm fine for signing up for a bot, let's say, that tells me when you guys are going live, because it's like, okay, that I'm not going to always remember, right? Or I'm going to be busy and, oh, they're live. Okay, cool. I can check out what they're talking about this week. But I think that's very different than thinking that people are going to open and go through a newsletter and want to be sort of pitched to, right? And so I don't know. I think it works against what Facebook wants to do, which is get you to buy ads to reach people.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm sure they can close off the API to this pretty quickly.
They could very quickly. Christian, we're running up against a time limit here, so sure. Go ahead and hit us on the next tool.
So the second tool is called Selfissimo, and this is actually a tool from Google. And I'm going to bring this up real quick for everybody. Basically, in a nutshell, what this is it's a way for you, according to their description here, it's a way for you to strike a pose, and the camera will definitely love you. Selfissimo uses experimental research technology from Google to capture photos automatically each time you pose, encouraging you to capture your best self. Now, let me actually show you guys this first, and then I'm going to bring Nick and Ross on, and then we'll wrap up the show. So Selfissimo, it's a free app from Google. So really, I know there's no shortage of photography apps in the App Store or even on your mobile device. But Selfissimo, the part that I really like about this is the AI aspect of this. I like the fact that this is using, maybe I should say AI, but basically, just the fact that this is automated to capture a photo. Because a lot of times we're like, hey, let me get that photo ready. Oh, wait, that didn't turn out well. I think by having a way to capture multiple photos at once, I think this is a very good move by Google to come out with this app. And this does chive with with Google's other, their new updates on their phones. I think they have the Pixel 2. I think that's the mobile device that's out right now. But let's bring Nick in, let's bring Ross in, let's discuss this app real quick. And as I mentioned, it's a free app. Link is in the comments. So Nick, I know that we talk a lot about apps and tools, and I know you're very selective about which ones get on your device. You test it and whatnot. What do you think about this app from Google?
I think for a lot of people, we have this conversation. Bernard and Don are familiar with this topic. As far as we have this conversation, a lot of people don't like going live. A lot of people don't like how they look on camera, whether it's live or just photographic. And so I think if it encourages people to take a better photograph, and especially if you're a business, you're using it, you're in a hurry to get a kind of a professional looking photograph. You want a good one, but you don't have time to go get portraits done. And then I think it's a decent one. I don't think that I'll be downloading it anytime soon, but I think it's a good idea for folks. I'd love to see what Ross has to say.
So I downloaded it and I tried it, and it's kind of fun. Let me see if you can kind of see, like, it shows you the different, I don't know if you can see this or not, but it shows you, like, every time you pause, right? So I'm talking, I'm moving, I pause, then it snaps a picture. I hold it here, and then I pause, it snaps a picture. So you don't have to worry about fumbling with the click part of it, right? You don't have to hit the shutter button, so to speak. It'll notice when you pose, and then it'll take the picture. So, it's cool. It's all in black and white. It doesn't really save it. You got to, export it yourself, as far as I can tell so far. There's no, you don't go into the app and get, all your past pictures or whatever. But it makes a collage. Apparently, it looks like there's 6 spots, and I took 5 pictures. I don't know. It's fun, right? I don't know that it has, a big purpose, but it's fun. And maybe for people who don't like to take selfies, they're more relaxed because they don't have to worry about, am I looking good? Do I click the button? They just pause, and it gets a couple of pictures as you move it around. So enjoy it, right? Test it out, enjoy it.
I will say, if I'm a business, I could use this potentially to take a really good profile photo. Because that's one of the elements there. To be able to take a profile photo and capture some different elements, maybe of some certain things. Maybe I prop my phone up on my desk, start the app. And I'm doing something, and I'm like, hey, let me pause for that photo or whatnot. So
it's all black and white. There's no color option. And if I took one more, I could put a collage together of when I was a guest on your show. I have a 6 spot empty or whatever, but I could just do that real quick while I'm in the lobby or whatever. It's okay, cool. I could post that to Instagram quickly while I'm in the lobby and hey, I'm live on the show or whatever. So you could find ways to use it and integrate it into your marketing and, your social posts.
Excellent. And that is the show for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Happy New Year. Happy early New Year. It's not quite New Year, but this is the last show for the year. Ross, tell people where they can find you for those who aren't already aware of your amazingness.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for having me on. This was great. You can find me at livestreamuniverse.com. On Facebook, the Facebook page is facebook.com/livestreamuniverse. And you can find our Ross and Nez podcast at rossandnez.com/iTunes. rossandnez.com/iTunes. If you prefer video with your podcast, you can find our YouTube channel. You can see the video versions at rossandnez.com/YouTube.
And you are at iRossBrand on most the other channels?
iRossBrand on Twitter, RossBrand1 on Instagram.
Okay, RossBrand1. So that's it. And thank you for being here. Thanks for closing the year out with us, Ross. And Christian, have a great New Year. I'm sure I'll talk to you between now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just wish everybody Happy New Year. Thanks a lot for joining us this entire year for Social Chatter. If you're new to it, we do a show every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we're going to have a couple of new guests on the show. So we'll see you next week, and that'll be at socialchefs.com/be live.
And that'll be next year as well. That's next year.
Next year.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.